Every marriage encounters conflicts, but what truly determines the health and longevity of a relationship isn't the absence of disagreements, it's how couples navigate them. Psychologists have identified three primary problem-solving styles that characterize how partners approach marital conflicts: validating, volatile, and avoidant. These styles represent fundamentally different ways of communicating, processing emotions, and reaching resolutions during disagreements. Understanding these styles is crucial because they shape everything from daily interactions to long-term relationship satisfaction. Each approach has its own psychological underpinnings, benefits, and potential drawbacks that can either strengthen or weaken the marital bond over time. By exploring these styles in depth, couples can gain valuable insights into their own relational patterns and learn how to address conflicts in more constructive ways. Problem-solving styles in marriage refer to the consistent, habitual ways that couples engage with conflict when it arises. These styles develop over time through a combination of personality traits, childhood experiences, cultural background, and learned behaviors from previous relationships. Some partners naturally gravitate toward open discussion and mutual compromise, while others engage in passionate debates or prefer to minimize confrontation altogether. These patterns go beyond simple communication tactics. They reflect deeper emotional needs, attachment styles, and coping mechanisms that individuals bring into the relationship. For instance, someone with an anxious attachment style might crave intense emotional engagement during conflicts, while someone more avoidant may withdraw to protect themselves from perceived emotional threats. Recognizing your dominant problem-solving style and understanding your partner's can transform how you approach disagreements, leading to more effective resolutions and greater emotional intimacy. Couples who employ a validating problem-solving style prioritize mutual understanding, emotional attunement, and respectful communication above all else. When conflicts emerge, these partners make a conscious effort to actively listen to each other's perspectives without interruption or immediate judgment. They frequently use empathetic language like, "I can see why you'd feel that way," or "Your perspective makes sense to me," which helps create an atmosphere of psychological safety. Validating couples are skilled at identifying the core emotions beneath surface-level complaints. They recognize that a partner's frustration about household chores might actually stem from feeling unappreciated or overwhelmed. Their discussions typically follow a calm, measured pace with frequent check-ins to ensure both parties feel heard. Rather than viewing conflicts as battles to be won, validating couples approach them as collaborative problems to be solved together. The validating approach offers numerous psychological and relational benefits that contribute to long-term marital satisfaction. Couples who master this style tend to report higher levels of emotional intimacy because both partners consistently feel valued and understood. Research in marital therapy shows that validating couples experience lower physiological stress responses during conflicts, as their approach minimizes threats to emotional safety and self-esteem. This style creates what psychologists call a secure base in the relationship, a fundamental trust that disagreements won't lead to personal attacks or abandonment. Validating couples are particularly skilled at de-escalating tensions before they spiral out of control, often using humor, when appropriate, or gentle touch to maintain connection during difficult conversations. Perhaps most importantly, this style leads to more permanent resolutions because it addresses the root emotional needs behind surface conflicts, rather than just the presenting issues. Despite its many advantages, the validating approach isn't without potential pitfalls that couples should be mindful of. Some validating partners may fall into the trap of conflict avoidance disguised as harmony, suppressing important issues to maintain peace in the short term. This can lead to what therapists call emotional gridlock, where unresolved concerns accumulate beneath the surface, eventually creating distance between partners. Additionally, this style may frustrate individuals who need more emotional intensity to feel truly heard. For them, the calm demeanor of validating discussions might feel dismissive or emotionally flat. Validating requires substantial emotional labor and communication skills that don't come naturally to everyone, potentially creating an imbalance if one partner carries most of this burden. There's also the risk of over-validation, where couples spend so much time acknowledging feelings that they never progress to practical solutions. In stark contrast to validating couples, those with a volatile problem-solving style thrive on passionate, emotionally intense exchanges during conflict. These couples engage in lively debates where voices may be raised, emotions freely expressed, and disagreements played out with dramatic flair. Volatile couples don't shy away from confrontation. They dive into it head first, often using humor, teasing, or spirited argumentation as their primary modes of engagement. What distinguishes healthy volatility from toxic fighting is the underlying foundation of mutual respect and affection. These couples may battle fiercely, but they typically maintain fundamental respect for each other throughout. Their conflicts resemble theatrical performances with rapid-fire exchanges, frequent interruptions, and exaggerated expressions. Yet somehow they manage to resolve issues and move forward without lingering resentment. Psychologists note that volatile couples often have exceptionally high levels of emotional expressiveness overall, meaning their passionate conflicts are balanced by equally passionate displays of affection and appreciation. The volatile approach offers several unique advantages that contribute to marital satisfaction for certain personality types. These couples often report higher levels of excitement and passion in their relationships compared to more reserved styles. Their conflicts serve as a form of emotional engagement that keeps the relationship dynamic and alive. Because volatile couples air grievances immediately and dramatically, they rarely accumulate the simmering resentments that plague more conflict-avoidant pairs. Research suggests that when practiced healthily, volatility can lead to particularly honest relationships, where both partners feel completely free to express their authentic selves without filters. The makeup period after volatile conflicts tends to be intensely affectionate, creating what some therapists call a conflict repair cycle that actually strengthens bonds. For partners who grew up in expressive families, this style often feels more natural and authentic than suppressing emotions for the sake of harmony. However, the volatile approach carries significant risks that can undermine relationship stability if left unchecked. The most obvious danger is that heated arguments may cross the line into personal attacks or verbal abuse, especially when partners are tired, stressed, or triggered by sensitive topics. Unlike validating couples who carefully monitor each other's emotional limits, volatile partners may inadvertently inflict lasting damage in the heat of battle. This style can be particularly challenging when one partner is more sensitive to conflict. What feels like a lively debate to one might feel like terrifying aggression to the other. Over time, constant volatility may erode feelings of emotional safety, especially if repair attempts are insufficient. There's also the risk that volatile couples become addicted to the adrenaline rush of dramatic conflicts, unconsciously creating unnecessary arguments just to feel the intensity and subsequent reconciliation. The avoidant problem-solving style represents a fundamentally different approach to marital conflict, one characterized by minimization, distraction, and deliberate disengagement. Avoidant couples maintain harmony by consciously sidestepping potential arguments, often changing subjects when tensions arise, or downplaying disagreements with comments like, "It's not worth fighting about," or "Let's just agree to disagree." Unlike validating couples who face conflicts directly or volatile couples who embrace them passionately, avoidant partners view overt conflict as something to be prevented at all costs. Their interactions during disagreements are marked by emotional restraint, physical distance, and careful control of affect. Some avoidant couples develop elaborate unspoken rules about what topics are off-limits for discussion, creating what therapists call emotional dead zones in the relationship. The avoidant approach offers several psychological benefits that are often overlooked in marital research. These couples typically experience fewer heated arguments and lower daily stress levels because they deliberately minimize confrontational interactions. For partners who are highly sensitive to conflict or who grew up in volatile households, this style can feel like a welcome relief, a peaceful sanctuary from emotional turbulence. Avoidance can be particularly effective for managing minor disagreements that don't touch on core relationship values or needs. Not every difference of opinion requires deep emotional processing. Some research suggests that avoidant couples may actually be protected against certain health risks associated with marital conflict, such as elevated blood pressure or impaired immune function. The primary limitation of avoidant conflict resolution is that it often leads to emotional stagnation and unresolved resentment over time. By consistently sidestepping difficult conversations, avoidant couples miss opportunities to deepen their understanding of each other and address underlying issues. This can create what psychologist Dan Weil calls parallel marriages, where partners coexist peacefully but without meaningful emotional connection. Avoidant patterns frequently lead to cumulative annoyance, where minor irritations that could have been addressed early snowball into major sources of discontent. There's also the risk that one partner may feel emotionally lonely or unseen, particularly if they have stronger needs for emotional engagement than their avoidant spouse. In extreme cases, avoidance can morph into emotional withdrawal or stonewalling, one of what John Gottman terms the four horsemen of the apocalypse predicting divorce. Our preferred conflict resolution styles are deeply rooted in our attachment systems, the internal working models of relationships we develop in early childhood. Securely attached individuals who grew up with consistently responsive caregivers tend to naturally adopt validating approaches. They're comfortable with both emotional expression and conflict resolution. Those with anxious attachment styles, often stemming from inconsistent childhood care, frequently gravitate toward volatile patterns. Their heightened need for reassurance leads to intense expressions of emotion during conflicts. Avoidantly attached individuals, typically products of emotionally distant or rejecting caregiving, naturally withdraw during conflicts to protect themselves from perceived emotional threats. These attachment styles create self-reinforcing cycles. An anxious partner's pursuit may trigger an avoidant partner's withdrawal, which then intensifies the anxious partner's pursuit. Understanding these underlying dynamics can help couples interrupt destructive patterns by recognizing that their conflict styles often reflect deeper emotional strategies for maintaining connection or protecting against hurt. It's exceptionally common for partners to have mismatched conflict resolution styles. In fact, some research suggests this is the rule rather than the exception. These differences often initially attract partners: the passionate, volatile individual drawn to the calming presence of a validator, or the conflict-averse, avoidant person relieved to find someone who won't make waves, but later becomes sources of frustration. The most challenging pairings tend to be volatile, anxious partners with avoidant partners, creating pursue-withdraw cycles that leave both feeling misunderstood. However, style differences don't have to doom a relationship. With awareness and effort, couples can adapt to each other's needs. The volatile partner might learn to moderate their intensity, while the avoidant partner practices staying emotionally present during difficult conversations. Validating partners in mixed-style relationships often serve as important bridges, helping their partners find middle ground. Research by relationship experts like John Gottman reveals that all three styles can support happy, stable marriages when practiced in balanced, mutually satisfying ways. Validating couples tend to have the most predictable, low-conflict relationships, which suits partners who prioritize stability and emotional security. Volatile couples often report higher passion and excitement, appealing to those who thrive on emotional intensity and authenticity. Avoidant couples may experience less daily friction, ideal for partners who value peace and autonomy. The determining factor isn't the style itself, but how well it meets both partners' emotional needs and whether negative aspects are kept in check. Problems arise when any style becomes extreme, validation turning into emotional suppression, volatility crossing into abuse, or avoidance creating emotional deserts. Gottman's research suggests the healthiest couples maintain a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions regardless of their conflict style. They compensate for heated arguments or emotional distance with abundant affection, appreciation, and fun. Enhancing your marital conflict style begins with self-awareness, recognizing your automatic responses during disagreements and understanding their impact on your partner. Validating couples might practice ensuring they're not avoiding necessary conflicts under the guise of harmony. Perhaps setting regular relationship check-ins to discuss potentially avoided issues. Volatile couples could implement de-escalation techniques like structured timeouts when discussions become too heated, or developing soft startup skills to raise concerns without provoking defensiveness. Avoidant partners might challenge themselves to gradually increase their tolerance for conflict by addressing one previously avoided issue per week, starting with low-stakes topics. All couples benefit from learning repair strategies, specific phrases or actions that halt negative cycles like "I need a moment to calm down" or "I know we're on the same team." Developing a shared vocabulary about your conflict styles, "I'm going into avoidant mode right now," can help interrupt automatic patterns. Regular practice of empathy exercises where partners take turns articulating each other's perspectives during disagreements can bridge style differences. Many couples find pre-agreed conflict containers helpful. Specific times, places, or structures for difficult discussions that prevent conflicts from overwhelming the relationship. Professional intervention becomes advisable when conflict patterns cause persistent distress or relationship deterioration. Warning signs include frequent escalation into personal attacks or name-calling, physical expressions of anger, throwing objects, slamming doors, or one partner consistently feeling intimidated or demeaned. Similarly, if avoidance has created such emotional distance that partners feel like roommates, or if unresolved issues keep resurfacing without resolution, therapy can help. Other red flags include conflicts that regularly last for days without repair, partners making unilateral decisions to punish the other, or either person feeling the need to walk on eggshells constantly. Therapists trained in modalities like Gottman method couples therapy or emotionally focused therapy can help identify unhealthy patterns and teach alternative strategies. Even high-functioning couples can benefit from preemptive counseling to strengthen their conflict resolution skills before problems escalate. Emotional intelligence, the ability to identify, understand, and manage emotions, serves as the foundation for adapting conflict styles to different situations. Emotionally intelligent couples can consciously shift gears depending on circumstances, knowing when a situation calls for gentle validation, when passionate engagement might be productive, and when temporary avoidance might be wisest. Key components include emotional awareness, recognizing your own feelings as they arise, emotional literacy, which is accurately labeling complex emotions, and emotion regulation, or managing intense feelings without becoming overwhelmed. Perhaps most crucially, emotional intelligence includes empathy, the ability to accurately perceive and resonate with your partner's emotional experience even during disagreements. Couples can develop these skills through mindfulness practices that increase present moment awareness of emotions, journaling to enhance emotional literacy, or specific exercises like emotional check-ins where partners share their feelings without problem solving. High emotional intelligence also helps partners recognize when their conflict responses stem from past wounds rather than current circumstances, preventing unnecessary escalation. Cultural background significantly shapes our approaches to marital conflict, with different societies valuing various aspects of emotional expression and harmony. Collectivist cultures often emphasize conflict avoidance and group harmony, making avoidance styles more normative and socially approved. Individualistic cultures may encourage more direct confrontation and emotional expression, increasing acceptance of volatile or validating approaches. Gender socialization also plays a role. Many cultures still teach women to be conciliatory or validating, and men to be either aggressive or volatile or stoic, which is avoidant, creating predictable style mismatches. First-generation immigrant couples may face particular challenges when partners acculturate at different rates, leading to conflicts about how to handle conflicts. Recognizing these cultural influences helps couples separate personal failings from learned behaviors and find compromises that honor both partners' backgrounds. The longitudinal impacts of different conflict styles reveal fascinating insights about marital durability and satisfaction. Validating couples tend to experience gradual, steady relationship satisfaction over time. With relatively few dramatic highs or lows, their marriages often outlast others due to strong foundations of mutual respect and understanding. Volatile couples frequently report higher initial passion that may gradually diminish unless consciously maintained, with their long-term success heavily dependent on maintaining the fun, affectionate aspects that balance their conflicts. Avoidant couples often show stable but flat satisfaction curves. Their relationships may last due to low conflict, but risk becoming emotionally hollow unless both partners genuinely prefer minimal emotional intensity. Research suggests that the most resilient couples aren't necessarily those who avoid conflict, but those who develop effective repair mechanisms, the ability to reconnect after disagreements regardless of their conflict style. Interestingly, some studies indicate that couples who maintain some elements of volatility within healthy limits report better sexual satisfaction long-term, possibly because the emotional intensity translates to other areas of intimacy. Understanding marital problem-solving styles provides couples with a powerful framework for navigating the inevitable conflicts that arise in all relationships. Whether your natural tendency leans toward validation, volatility, or avoidance, the key insight is that no single style is inherently superior. What matters most is finding approaches that work for both partners and maintaining the underlying friendship that sustains the relationship through challenges. Most successful couples don't fit neatly into one category, but rather develop a blended style that incorporates elements of each as needed. By cultivating self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and flexible communication skills, partners can transform conflicts from threats to opportunities for deeper connection. Remember that occasional mismanaged conflicts matter far less than the overall climate of your relationship. The daily acts of appreciation, support, and enjoyment that create the context in which disagreements occur. With patience, practice, and perhaps professional guidance when needed, couples can develop conflict resolution approaches that not only solve problems but actually strengthen their bond over time.